conversations are real, voices are heard, and the real stars here. The real stars here. No filter, no fear. Truth in the mic, let the whole world hear. Stories unfold, voices sincere. Welcome to the place where the real starts here. From life and love to the latest news, community voices, different views, breaking it down so we all stay clear. Honest conversations live right here. Speak your truth, let it be known. This is the space where your voice has a home. No judgment here, just real and clear. Real talk with Tamara, the real starts here. Real talk with Tamara. Real people, real stories.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk with Tamara. On today's show, we're going to have school board candidate Damon Morris. Okay, he's running for District 9. Of course, I know that you all have been hearing about the Shelby County elections in the news. Okay. Damon is going to talk about his candidacy and some of the concerns that has been in the media. But first, he was just here. And now, of course, I told you I was going to do an update. But first, I want to introduce him again. And I want to give him the opportunity to speak about his candidacy, why he decided to run for school board, why now, of course, again, and how things have been going. How you doing, Damon?
I'm doing all right, Tamara. I'm happy to be back. I know last time I was running, but tonight I dedicated this time to you this evening. So I appreciate you having me back on.
No problem at all. Damon, tell us why you decided to run for school board this time, why it is imperative.
And my answer is not going to change. The people know that I'm the best candidate for children. And that has been amplified as we've gone through this election process. It really has.
Okay. Tell us, what are the top 3 issues facing our district right now, and how would you address them?
Now, that has changed based on some of the information that I got from the county commission. Just a little while ago, because we got this, and the takeover bill, where intervention bill has passed the state legislature.
Yes.
In Nashville, the governor. So priority, but still the priorities with children don't change. We don't know how our district is going to look like moving forward. I've been talking to people on the phone all day long. After the county commission meeting, I've talked to people on the phone, Democrat and Republican. After Democrat and Republican, after the bills were passed. And, right now it looks like a mixed reaction. It's really not mixed per the numbers, because, it really is a fundamental change that is coming to this county. Now, does the change need to happen with us? Yes. So I'm still standing on access for all, partnerships with the district, local governance, all hands approach to education. And that means the county commission not only being the funding source, but the county commission as to programming for children, oversight. Now, one thing, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but accountability seems to still be an issue with this local board. You know, I don't know what we're going to do about it, but it still seems to be an accountability issue. So listening to the voters, we're talking, and the school board seems to be a hot topic, but a lot of people don't see it as being an important race. And I said that on your show last time. I think it's just as important as the mayoral race.
Absolutely.
So as we move forward, uh, Tamara, we have to put students first. And I think if you look at all of the rest of the candidates, not only in my race, but candidates across certain races, it's only two. And I've met everybody that's running for these school board seats in all of the races. I've met them all. So nobody's talking about children. Yeah, we could talk about literacy. We can talk about all of these things, you know, that affect children. But if we're not talking about the whole child, then we're going to continue to fail them. And I'm saying we have failed the children of Shelby County.
Mm-hmm. Now we've been hearing in the media, we've been talking about the takeover. You know, they had the audits and things of that nature, and they found some issues with that. How do you plan to address that once you are elected?
It goes back to accountability.
Mm-hmm.
We know what is wrong with the school board. We know that operations have not been working for years. We know that we know that we've been in a pot of nepotism, and a pot of favoritism. So I'm not convinced that me alone. There has to be some like-minded people
Absolutely.
that get elected to the school board with me that will make a difference.
I agree. You know, I was saying before, you know, because I know that you've been one of the people, you know, that I've really been pushing and speaking about and support. But even if you are elected and the face of the seats that are up for grabs is not changed, I mean, you're one person, and you're right. You have to have like-minded people on that board to help, so that it can change. And listen, I'm being really nice, about it, but I've said before, whoever it is, whoever the incumbents are, don't vote against them. Do not vote for them again. I think the issue, um, in our city and county was and is, they said Team Damon, Tamika Abram. Um, the issue is we vote based on name recognition. We vote based on race, and we just kind of continuously, oh, well, the person is in the seat even though they hadn't done a damn thing. Okay, I think that has been the issue. Oh, well, that's a friend of a friend. I know they haven't done anything, but that's a friend of a friend. That at least I know their name. That has been one of the issues that has kept us stuck in this city and county, and it has to change. Now, I will say this: seeing a group of younger people, and we're all the same age. I'll say we're a little younger than the generation before us, starting to rise up and fight and speak about, and not stay in sleep, not just going along just to get along. I really think that has started to wake up a generation of people. And I think people are just tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired also, but I do notice something has to change. We don't have a choice. They want for people to, especially in our community, to feel like that their
You're
vote
going
does
out.
not count. That's why we have low. What they don't want is for us to get involved, our communities to really get involved.
You're going in.
Because we have to get involved. It is very important that we elect the right people. Your vote counts, and these elections affect our communities directly. That's why it is important that you get out, whether you got kids in school or not. The children are our future. It absolutely matters. Okay, go ahead, Damon. I'm sorry. I had to get.
No, you're making good points. And Tamara, of course, I've been sending you things, and there seems to be a smear campaign going on against me now. By and I know you probably bring that up, but what the issue is that you brought up a good point, because we have to stop with these silos that we're in. And I think we talked about that last time, because people are and coming to the polls, people are going in silos. They're going to still vote for their person. Somebody told me about a group of people, their church members are going to continue to vote for them, because that's what they're going to do. There's a block. That's what they're going to do. I don't know how this election is going to turn out. I'm getting favorable impression from the community, but I brought that up in the beginning to make the community aware. Watch for these silos. There are people that have been in office, like you said, and haven't done a darn thing. There are people who have been in elected positions who haven't done a darn thing. So what you need to understand is, and what I want the public to understand is, research your candidates. I don't know how many times we could say that. During this election, I know you probably seen is that ballot situation. Okay. The endorsement situation. That this I can safely say, after being in politics 30 years, I can safely say that this has been the nastiest election I have ever been a part of.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit of what has happened. It's been rough out there. I see people get on, not just you. People have gotten on all up and down my timeline every day. You got a different person getting on saying it is absolutely unbelievable, the stuff that is going on out here at these polls. Folks are like, I just want to go in and vote.
So let me start here. First day of early voting. And I don't want to talk about this too much anymore, because I promised my mom I wouldn't. Because I promised her I'd let the family handle it. So the first day of early voting, I decided that I was going to go to Anointed Temple of Praise. And I've been to almost every site that has touched my district. Okay. The districts, a little bit further north in Millington, that you just have to use your political strategy in those areas. But the ones that are close to my district, I've been to all of them, all polling locations. I got to ATOP that morning, and I got out, went to and greeted everybody like I always do. I do that everywhere I go. I go and greet people. How are you doing? Are you okay? So I saw some people that were I saw some people that I had known. They was campaigning for another candidate. And I went over there and she asked me, she said, give me some of your push cards because we're going to work this for you so you can go to another area. I gave them the push cards. The young lady that was representing an opponent of mine, she said, oh, you're running for the same district. And she was like, well, my cousin is running for, this is my cousin. Okay. I looked at her like gracious, like I always do, Tamara. And I told her, I said, okay. I said, my name is Damon Morris, and I'm pleased to meet you. We shook hands, and she was standing there shoulder to shoulder.
Or I don't think it's mine.
Is something going out? Because I haven't moved.
Yeah, you was going out.
Okay, because you were going out a minute ago.
Okay.
But I shook her hand because she told me that my opponent was her cousin. And I shook her hand and I said, my name is Damon Morris. I said, I'm pleased to meet you. So after then, it just was business as usual. She was standing shoulder to shoulder with me. It wasn't no animosity, it wasn't no beef. And that's how I roll, Tamara. Despite what everybody's trying to tell you. If I do something, it's for a reason. I don't waste my time and I don't speak superfluously. Okay? So I stayed at ATOP most of the day. I told another poll worker, well, they was like, well, you're going to stay out here till 7. I was like, no, I have to go get my grandson. Then I'm going to stop by. I'm going to stop by Glenview. I said, they told me all of the candidates that are running in my district are in Glenview. A lot of people don't know my grandson was by default, raised up in politics. I've had my grandson now ever since he was 3 years old. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What I described to you last time with him being the face of the third grade retention law. You can look on my page and he's really kind of torn up about Representative Hardaway because that was one of his mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to I picked him up from school, like I said I was going to do, because in a time like this, you have to have eyes on you at all the time when you're a target. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Glenview and I came up on a poll worker that I knew. So she walked to my truck and me and her were having a conversation. A sheriff's candidate poll worker came and look, because everybody knows me, Tamara. Everybody knows who I am. So I looked away from up under my hat and she was like, oh, I know who you are. She gave me the thumbs up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the same opponent came up, one of her poll workers came up to me and he actually put a push card inside of my car. But I wasn't mean to him. I didn't say anything out the way to him. Didn't say, hey, man, get that out of here and blah, 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 blah. None of that happened. I politely told him, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. So now to his credit, because this is the video everybody saw of the man getting put in the back of the police car Saturday up at Glenview. So to his credit, the lady that was with him was the one that gaslit him, Tamara. Okay. Because that situation could have been de-escalated if he didn't even know who I was. Now, I don't know this man, never met him in my life. Okay.
Okay.
So the lady said, oh, that's his opponent. That's her opponent. That's him on that sign up there. So they kind of gaslit him. Oh. And he said that, oh, you are ugly, MF, such and such. And he just began cussing me out. And the person I was talking to, he scared her so bad because she's a non-confrontational person. He scared her so bad, she backed up off my truck. So I began to just pull off, okay? Mind you, my grandson's in the car with me. And I went to I began to pull off, and he just constantly was cussing. It wasn't no beef pulling up on the scene. What's the problem? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when he did that, I finally stopped and I told him, I said, "Hey, brother," I said, "my grandson is in the car." And he said, "Oh, my bad." And then he continued to cuss me out again. So I just drove off. Long story short, I went to other candidates, let my grandson speak. He spoke to Brittany Thornton, Jared Price, LaShawna Rudd, Sam Nelson. He was speaking. And then when I hit my campaign treasurer, who's George Dempsey Summers, he's running for county court clerk. Mm-hmm. And he and I was transacting some business, while I'm still in my car because I'm tired. I've been campaigning all day. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I saw the man sit down in the chair. I said, well, maybe he's calm because the poll worker that I was talking to, I was trying to transact some business too. Okay. We are campaigning. I am a candidate. So we there's business being transacted all over these polls. Okay.
Right.
So I said, okay, maybe it's safe for me to go back down here. Okay. That's my thinking. I went down there, pulled back up. I begged for her to calm. She began to walk to my car. And the man just started cussing me out again. Wow. Unprovoked. And I'm like, okay, I've had enough. Now, my intent was to get out of the car, snap a photo of this man, and send it to the candidate and handle this with the candidate. That's what you're supposed to do. Hey, your poll worker out of control up here. Okay? See, we want the truth to get out, Tamara.
Absolutely.
So when I took that first photo, you can't take no photo of me. He went to cussing me out. And I mean, if you look at the picture, you could see his face was in a rage. So he began to walk towards me. Okay, mistake number one. But still, I retreated. Okay? But every time, as he was walking towards me, and the whole community knows that I'm disabled. Okay? That could have been a dangerous situation. But what was more dangerous is that my grandson was in the car. Okay? I'm snapping pictures and backing back. Snapping pictures and backing back. Okay? I get inside of my truck. He's still cussing me out. And I'm ignoring him. And I began to close the door. He snatched my door open, raised his left hand, and told me he was going to slap the sugar honey iced tea out of me in front of my grandchild.
Wow.
And my grandchild rolls up out of his
grandchild.
In front of my grandchild. And my grandchild rolls up out of his seats because, see, he's not used. I don't raise my grandson around violence. Look, I grew up in domestic violence. Okay? I don't raise him around that. I rarely raise my voice at my grandson. Okay? Mm-hmm. And my children will tell you, I rarely raise my voice. Mm-hmm. Because it's my rules. You do what I say. Okay? That's me as a parent in a nutshell. Follow my rules, you won't have no problem. And my children, if you meet my children, they will tell you that. Everybody asks my oldest son all the time, how did you grow up with him as a father? He said, don't lie to him, don't lie on him, and do what he say. You ain't gonna have no problem. Mm-hmm. My kids went through high school, didn't give me any problems. Not one of them, not all three of them, didn't give me any problems. Because that's the tone, when we talk about parenting, that's the tone that was set. So what bothered me so bad is that my grandson has been going through a lot in his young life, okay? My grandmother was very overprotective of me, okay? Mm-hmm. So what triggered me, so long story short, he went into, the lady that gaslit him came in between him. I got my door shut. I just pulled on off. And when I pulled off, I got to my house, which I don't stay far from Glenview. I called the police and let them know what happened. Now, here's the biggest issue. I got a phone call from my grandson's school the very next day. It was in the middle of TCAP. They was like, Mr. Morris, he's having some problems. And I said, well, he's taking his medication. He's good. So what's the problem? They was like, no. They said, we saw you, some of the teachers that saw you live last night, and he communicated with some of the staff about what he saw and what happened. Mm-hmm. And we have some grave concerns. That's why I like his school so much. They're very family oriented. Okay. Mm-hmm. So at this time, I had filed the police report already. And everything like that. So I said, well, my grandmother was very big on mental health. Okay. And I've been vocal about that too. We have a history of mental illness in our family. Okay. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother was very, very watchful of that. Okay. She wasn't one of those parents who say, oh, it'll take care of itself. No. She was a very big advocate for you getting help. Get help. My grandson already see full transparency. My grandson always been seeing, due to some other issues he's been having, has always been seeing a therapist. Okay. So I had to go take him to see his therapist. Okay. And this is what the therapist told me once he came out of session. He said, well, he was telling me about an incident. And I was listening to the therapist, and the therapist said, well, there's something he said to me was very, very, very disturbing, Mr. Morris. And I said, what did he say? He said, he told me about the incident. He told me what happened. He told me that he actually thought that man was going to kill you.
Oh, wow. It traumatized.
See, what we're not going to do is that we're not going to sit here over an election and I compromise my child. But as of right now, Tamara, that is the goal. Because they did the same thing to me when I ran for city council. Okay? They couldn't get me professionally. They couldn't get me personally. I don't sleep around. You're not allowed in my house if you don't pay rent here or you're a child. Mm-hmm. Okay? Or if you're a family member falling on your luck, those things happen. My children, if something happens, but my children haven't lived with me in over 5 years. Mm-hmm. None of them. So I don't live a life where you'll never catch me on camera drinking. I don't drink. I used to, but I don't anymore. Mainly my life consists of going to work, getting these programs together, coming home, dealing with my grandson because he's an athlete. Okay. He plays several sports. He's in band, track, basketball, football. He does everything. He's a little bit dilly-dally into politics. Okay. My grandson was mentored. This is by Justin Pearson. Hello?
Okay. Somebody is messing with this live. And normally when stuff like this happens, somebody is in the bushes messing with the stream. A lot of times they be trying to hit at the either trying to report the stream or they do something to mess with the stream.
They're trying to shadow ban it. They're trying to shadow ban it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do. They're reporting it. Yeah, you're right. See, that's why my nephew is so key. Because this is what he's taking up at Mississippi Valley State University. Mm-hmm. So that's why my nephew has been a key component in this election. But I'm going to end this story because it's the last time I'm going to talk about it. But long story short, Tamara, my grandson has been diagnosed with PTSD from that incident.
Lord have mercy.
And that's not good. Okay? A 12-year-old with PTSD, that's not good. Because he's never seen anybody buck up at me like that. He hasn't seen his dad do it, which is my son. He hasn't seen his uncles do it, which my brothers. We grew up in too much violence. And me, my brothers, and my sisters, we made a pact with these children when my sister got killed 20 years ago due to domestic violence, that we would not introduce these children to that type of violence.
Absolutely.
And we've done a good job in doing that. You know, my brothers, my sisters, I got one brother and two sisters left. Okay. I've raised some of my nieces and nephews. I've done those things. But over an election, you know, and then here's the killing part. The opponent, I even asked her, would she call me so we can talk about this incident, Tamara?
Mm-hmm.
She refused. She refused.
So do you believe that she had her worker to possibly, I mean, because I
don't see why. I mean, I'm not going to say that because I don't see why.
Okay.
But it was the statement that she put out afterwards that really it didn't bother me, but it kind of triggered me a little bit. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest. Because she went to saying, oh, this is what he does. She told a whole fabricated lie. She said that he came up there just to antagonize. And I'll send you a screenshot of her statement. She's taking it down now. But okay. I'll send you a screenshot of the statement that she made. Instead of you owning any accountability for your poll worker, and I'm telling you, trying to tell you in confidence what this has done to my child, but you want to run, for a position that you possibly may win. And you're going to be over this child who's in this district who your poll worker has caused trauma to. You have to make that make sense. Mm-hmm. And if I intentionally went over there to mess with your poll workers, we're all educated, Tamara. We all educated. Why didn't I do that at ATOP?
Right.
But here's the deal. She has paid some people an enormous amount of money Hold on just a second, because something obviously has to be going on. Because I didn't let everybody know that I was dedicating this to you. Okay, see, another polling location. They said the police was called down to Abundant Grace today. And it's been
goodness. This is ridiculous.
So, okay. My thing was, you as a woman and you as a candidate, you should have taken some responsibility for that. Now, here's the kicker. So I filed the police report. The detective called me Friday. This is what happened Saturday. The detective called me Friday. He said, Mr. Morris, I have been trying to reach out to this lady for 4 days. He showed me the manifest. He said, I have left messages and she will not call me back. I said, well, State Representative Hardaway just passed away. I said, and my rally at Glenview on Saturday. I hadn't been back to Glenview since, okay? So I said, well, my grandson is wanting to do a tribute to Representative Hardaway at the rally, okay? I had a whole bunch of things planned for that rally. If y'all missed it, I swear y'all missed the rally on Saturday. So I just out of conscience, I told the officer, I said, I'm not gonna take him up there. I said, I just don't feel comfortable. Knowing what I know, I said, I got a medical diagnosis sitting on my desk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, if you see him up there tomorrow, make sure you call us immediately because we have to identify him. Okay. So when she did, when I got up there Saturday, I saw him. I called him. They came right up there. And he was being defiant even when they were questioning him.
Wow.
You know, once again, let's make it clear. I don't know this man. I do know that he's one of my opponent's poll workers, but that's just that on that. Okay. So the police called. That's how they got the video of him being put in the back of the car. They identified him. And now there's an active warrant out for his arrest. Okay. Long story short. So he then jumps in one of the people that she has paid to work on her campaign. Okay. That's what happened yesterday. So he puts up this post, and you know we talked about it on the last episode, Tamara, about the restraining order that Stephanie Love has. Okay. If you read everything that has been written about me through this campaign, it is addressed in all of that. So that's nothing new to the community. Okay. This man named Bob Wimbush, who calls himself the whistleblower. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he puts up this post. Oh, this is what he does. This is what he harassed and everything like that. And I addressed that last night on my live. You know, I said, if you don't know the truth, and see, that's a big problem here in Shelby County. And even I got into it with a real good friend of mine today about the same thing, because you're not addressing what happened. You're just addressing how I should act, how I should behave, and what you want to see me do. That's not accountability. Because if I didn't do anything and she says, well, everybody's always putting your name in mess. I said, that's intentional. What can I do? Tamara, let me ask you a very serious question. What can I do about people that just want to put me in stuff?
Nothing.
That's what happened with the School Board 5 case. They just put me in that case for no reason. I wasn't even there when the act happened. And we discussed that on the last live too. So my question to her was, what do I do? I said, I could easily, here's what I said. I said, I could easily go out here on Facebook and put up a post with your name and tag you in it and say, y'all know this woman was a prostitute. Even though it may be the most fictitious thing you ever saw. It's going to be, this is the culture in Memphis that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. It's going to be somebody get up on that pole. Yeah, she did that. Sure did. Back such and so-and-so when we was up in Hyde Park. You know, she was turning tricks at such and so-and-so place.
Because people like to believe, unfortunately, there are people that like to believe the lies.
My question to her, what are you going to do about that? I can't do anything about I'm not an elected official, but I'm a public official.
Right.
What would I do about that? Well, I saw a video of you cussing a woman out, and I don't like that, and such and such and so and so. I said, That's your personal preference. I said, but it was my live stream. And if I had done anything wrong, wouldn't I have been convicted of all those charges they tried to bring against me?
Absolutely.
Why did the judge throw it out? See, we're dealing with people, and I don't like to insult people's intelligence, okay? But we're dealing with people who wants to believe what they want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to believe the truth. See, this is a political game. It's people going back, and one of the people got up under the post and defended me, and they was like, okay, y'all not talking about this man's work. This one man gave a real objective view to the election. He said, hey, man, y'all lying on this man. They said he's a good guy. He said, now, I don't believe he's going to win this election, which I have a problem with that. That's your opinion. And it's a fair opinion as far as whatever you're looking at or whatever you're, or whatever you're saying. I can't come in there and say, hey, man, you said I wasn't going to win the election, so I'm finna on you. No, that was a fair assessment. He said, y'all lying on him. He said, now, do I believe he's going to win? No. He said, but y'all are lying on him.
Wow.
So now all of a sudden, Bob Wimbush got real quiet. He put up in there, that he's being investigated right now. That's the same man that said Brittany Thornton was being investigated by the feds. And that was a lie.
Wow. Damon, why, they always talk about how dirty politics is. I don't think I've ever, this right here, why do you think it is this bad? I don't think I've ever seen it like this before. And I've been involved in watching politics now closely. My dad got me started watching politics and teaching me about politics probably about 13 years ago. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen it this grimy before. It is right this time. I
haven't either. And what has happened in two components. I've been talking to voters about this today. What has happened, Tamara, has been in two components. That state intervention, number one, because not only did that open the door for them to take over the school board, that actually opened the door for them to take over the county. Mm-hmm. But this is something for those people who, and some of these people who are saying they're running as Democrats, that they don't know anything about. Because this is stuff that you can't read. This is stuff that you have to get through experience, okay? Which is what makes me the best candidate, okay? Mm-hmm. Because nobody, except for me, was up there with Democrats and Republicans trying to soften the blow, like I told you about the third grade retention law. Same thing with this intervention bill. Because even, I'm going to say it again, even Representative Camper said it herself, once it gets to Nashville, nothing the Dems can do about it. So you want to shake your fist. And I had a conversation with one of my best colleagues today when they just left the county commission. One of the biggest mistakes that school board did was not try to calm the public. They went against the very public that voted them in. So they totally told the people that voted them in that they can kiss their ass, basically. And that's the truth. And they did it all the way to the end, to the state finally signed that bill. Why weren't we out? And I want to just touch on this. It was a man that I was talking to. His name is Joe. He's from Orange Mound. And he and I was talking. Me and him was out, and we were leaning on our truck. And we were just talking. Me and him was just talking before he went in and voted. And he was like, Damon, he said, I don't want the intervention, But he said, I don't know what we're going to do now. He said, but what I'm looking at is, why didn't they just get their stuff together and stop the state from doing this? I mean, we can all say that, oh, they was going to come in anyway. They was going to do this anyway. But just like a former teacher told me yesterday out at the track meet out at Bartlett High School, he said, Mr. Morris, it's the optics of it. He said, but it's just like Congressman Cohen said, it's inevitable. Because Justin, if y'all remember, Representative Pearson, he said it himself. If y'all don't stop this, go back to them school board meetings. He said it, I'm saying it verbatim. If y'all don't stop this, the state will come down here and say that we can't govern ourselves.
Absolutely. I remember him standing up there at the podium.
They didn't listen to anybody. So here's my thing.
Not only that, but I remember after he was at the podium down at the school board, you had school board members that got on their social medias and talked bad about him.
So here's my thing. If you're why would you intentionally hand this school board over to the state? Because that's essentially what you did. And so you want the public now to go here and put our fist in the air and buck back at a super MAGA majority. Do you know what that means? We are in a lawless America. Is Trump's way or no way? And I'm being honest. I'm going to fight for these children, but I'm not going to fight against stupidity. What did Shalia Harris say? The highest level of ignorance she had ever seen. And some of those board members are still sitting up there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to give it with the people. How are you going to take the people's voice away? You took the people's voice away when you didn't listen.
When they didn't listen.
You took the people's voice away.
I specifically remember them getting on the news and saying that even though the people elected us, we still have a job to do, and it won't necessarily be in favor of the people. Well, what are you there for?
I remember that, Tamara. So here's the thing: the atonement is missing. Have you sat down? Let me use the Chickasaw closing as an example. Now, we do have to right size the district. There are going to be some schools that are going to be closed. You know, Natalie McKinney went to that meeting one time, and those folks down in Westwood were so upset till she didn't even bother to come back. That's not how you represent a constituency. You have to be able to to go with the tough questions. You got to be able to face your constituents. I've been facing people all through this election, and they're telling me, well, Damon, you lobby. I said, I didn't lobby for anything. I did what I thought was best for what the consensus of the citizens of Shelby County wanted. They wanted that school board gone. We fought hard to get that intervention Tory Harris's bill in place. The county commission passed it. Lee Harris vetoed it. We got the veto overturned. Then they once again used their political tricks. Oh, it's unconstitutional. That judge did not rule that. And the stuff that she ruled came right out of bounds. Now the judge is not there anymore.
Wow. Where's she at?
It was an appointed position. Governor Lee had already made another appointment, so she was coming off the bench anyway.
Wow.
So you still bucking your constituency. I've never heard of that done before. And I have to use Representative Hardaway as an example. There were many bills that I worked with him on. Right before he passed, he called me and another leader in Orange Mound, and he told us, I need you, because that's how GA does. When he called us, he don't ask us nothing. He just tell us, he said, y'all finna do. That's what he used to tell us. And so he said, I need you, and he had called the other leader and said, I need you to call Damon. I need y'all to get this bill ready. That's how I got the recall bill to Nashville, through Representative Hardaway. What the people wanted.
Absolutely.
What other candidate in my race has the ability to do that? You have an incumbent sitting up there, and she hasn't had the ability to do that. Work with her state representatives, work with her state legislators. I have done that, Democrat and Republican. Because even the Dems would tell you in Nashville, if you're not working with them on bipartisan legislation up there, we're going to continue to starve in this community. Okay? So you know the only way that you do that? Diplomacy. Not going up there kissing their tails and everything like that, because it was a group of people that took me up there for the third grade retention law, and they were just prepping me. Oh, Mr. Morris, don't go up there, and we done seen your social media, so don't go up there calling them racist. Don't go up there and do this. Don't go up there and do that. I said, okay. Y'all want me to be a little pet head Negro. Okay. So I went up there and found out, y'all, that these were a bunch of businessmen. And if it don't affect if it don't translate to their bottom line, they ain't with it. I mean, that's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. They want to get their hands on a $2 billion budget.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that people are missing is that what got us here, we worked hard. And I'm talking about organizations, individuals, teachers, the whole nine y'all. It wasn't just the Memphis Lift like everybody's trying to make it out to be. It wasn't just the Memphis Lift. It was community advocates. We sat down at tables. We called our board members. I told you last time how it went when I called my board member. So guess what? I had to do the District 9 meeting myself. Tamarcus listened to me. Sable Ote listened to me. They're saying even now, Natalie McKinney doesn't even visit her schools.
Wow.
Natalie McKinney was supposed to have been sending me a timeline 2 months ago of events that happened when I was up in Nashville. You think I done got that timeline?
No.
But if I get on Facebook and I publicly say that Natalie McKinney lied, she's going to call me on the phone. Oh, you can call me and ask me anything. You having any problems, call me and ask me. I text Natalie McKinney when they voted Rod Richmond in as superintendent. And Natalie McKinney texts me back 4 days later. What we going to talk about then? Y'all already did it.
Let me ask you something, Damon. I'm glad you brought that up. In your opinion, because a lot of people want to know, okay? They want to know two things, because, they talked about the audit, and I don't think that it was really broken down when they say that there was some things that was mismanaged. But as far as the school superintendent, why do you think that there was an urgency to fire Dr. Fagans? And why was Rod Richmond elected? Because the way they did it was just tacky. You fire a lady in front of the whole world. And then, I was totally embarrassed for my city. And because you got people that come in here that from everywhere that was looking at that, like all over the world. Oh my God, we never seen anything like that before. You fire a lady in a meeting, and then you act like a bunch of hood rats and appoint another man who actually worked closely with her in the same breath. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before. But why do you think that he was chosen? I know he worked closely with Dr. Fagans, but why do you think there was an urgency to get him in there? And why do you think he was chosen, in your opinion?
Nepotism. Backdoor deals. It's clear that the school district through that whole thing violated the Sunshine Law. Stevie Wonder could see that. Now, what the consequences of them, and see, this is what people don't understand, Tamara. That's still on the table. Mm-hmm. So if the court rules, let me tell for the people who don't know legal jargon. If the court rules that the Board of Education violated the Sunshine Law, do you know from the date that ruling comes down, it will nullify every decision that they made up until the point that they fired Dr. Fagans.
Wow.
Okay, people don't understand what really the process is. It will nullify it. Did the board procedurally, contractually have the authority to fire Dr. Fagans? Yes, they did, per policy. Okay, but should they have done it is the question. And the way that they did, and this is one thing that in Tamara that's really intriguing. This is one of the things that most of the people don't understand. Most of the community is in agreement that they were wrong for firing her. Most of the people are in agreement that they were wrong for firing her. And we talked about this last time. Didn't Amber Hewitt Garcia said that 55% of the teachers stated that they were not unfavorable. 55% was unfavorable of Dr. Richmond. But you still gave him a contract. Wow. Make it make sense. Still, I said define to the end. You know, one of my favorite movies is Ghosts of the Mississippi. Have you ever seen that movie? Talking about Medgar Evers.
With Medgar Evers, Byron D. Beckwith. And
you remember what she said, what Whoopi Goldberg said about Byron D. Beckwith. And he said, she said, coward to the end. Mm-hmm. And that's what this school board has done. Defiant to the end. Defiant to the end. I've said this publicly. I have nothing against Dr. Roderick Richmond. I don't know him. And with me spending 22 years off in that district, our paths never crossed. I heard of him. But as an educator, I didn't know much about him. So I'm not going to make a rush to judgment on this man. You know, but the way, and just like though I told you, those panel of pastors told me before, the way it was done. And if you poll everybody in the community, they're at least in agreement on that. I said, and see, that's part of diplomacy, give and take. So if the community was in agreement on them saying, hey, that was wrong what y'all did to that lady. That was wrong what y'all did to that lady. And okay, then as a board, Tamara, why didn't they say, hey, y'all, we got some common ground with these people. They didn't like what we did. We need to get them together and say, without all the yelling, without all the shouting, without all the cussing, without all of that going on, let's tell them and why we do it. But see, let me tell you something about the board. It's a system. Just like that former teacher told me yesterday out there track meet. It's a white man. He told me, he said, it's a system. He said, for anything to change in that system, it's going to have to be broken up. And he said, I'm not in favor of the state intervention, but it is needed. And that's what he told me. He said, because that's not because of any individual person. He said, but because of that system. And that's what I testified to on the Tennessee State Senate floor. I said, this is a system that goes back 30 years that had already been in place. And that's another thing that the community is in agreement on. The board needs some kind of oversight. It's a lawless board. Even one of the board members said, oh, we can do what we want to do. They can't do nothing to us. That's not the kind of message you put out to your constituency. So why didn't the board take those opportunities to say, hey, we can calm this down? Amber Hewitt Garcia, she tried to throw it in there. Well, let's give her a year. I promise you, had they went with her resolution, we wouldn't even be talking right now, Tamara.
We wouldn't even be in this situation.
We wouldn't be talking.
But there was such an urgency. That's how you know that it was something else going on.
It was pre-planned. So you're putting the children's future on the line. Here's my end to this and this intervention. You're willing to put the future of these children on the line for a $25,000 a year paying job. That don't sound right to me. And it's personal to me because I got students in the district. Not only my blood, but other students. If you would have came around with me, and I should have had somebody around filming me at the polls this weekend, how all of my students from four corners of this community, charter schools, legacy Memphis Shelby County schools, private schools, were at these polls campaigning for me this weekend. Because the students want me on the board, no matter what districts they're in. No matter what, and they told me if we didn't have to go to school, we would be on these polls every day for you, Mr. Morris.
I tell you.
They said, we go look at the videos of my students over there at Westwood. Because I have a heavy presence in that area. I have a heavy presence all over this county. From Browncrest to BTW. So here's the thing. When are we going to get into a student-centered focused thinking as far as educating children?
Nobody about the students at all.
Nobody has said anything about the students. No candidate, no current school board member, no one has said anything. Some of my children I was talking to, I got a young man over here, Fairley, he's very vocal. No one has said anything about them. He said, no one has said anything about us. We go down to the school board as a group. We go down there and we speak. You know, I have connected so many students across this district, Tamara. Mm-hmm. No other school board member has done that. I'll get them on the phone. Well, just before we hit the poll Saturday, we had a Zoom meeting with all different kinds of schools: Whitehaven, Westwood, Fairley, Mitchell, Melrose, Hamilton, Power Center Academy, Mace. Those were the students that when you saw that District 9 on that t-shirt, that's all you saw this weekend. And I really want to give a shout out to my nephew, Damon Morris, who I call Nephew Prime.
I was going to say Nephew Prime.
He has done such a good job with this election, from the visuals to my videos to anything that I recorded. I really want to give him his props. Because one girl on the Facebook today talking about, oh, he don't exist. If you've been following me for the last, I think it was his junior year when we started this project. And he's a junior now. So it's been about 4 years. And he's a junior now at Mississippi Valley State University. This is his project. I'm his project. All of those shows that we did, all of those things that he did has heightened his career.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do children. And I just wanted to give him his props for his tireless work with me. From my signs to my t-shirts to my push cards, he made sure that it was visually aesthetic for everybody.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, everybody, when we broke out with those t-shirts last week, and my canvassing team hit this community with those t-shirts, they said that was the most beautiful t-shirts in the whole campaign. I said, my nephew did that. I can't take no credit for that. I just put it on my body. So we have to get into what really counts, Tamara. These children.
Absolutely. Are these children?
These children.
Ask you this. If the board can only meaningfully improve one thing over the next 2 years, what should it be? What do you think it should be?
Access for all these children.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't have to come from Twinkletown and catch a bus at 4:30 in the morning, be late for over to high school just because you want to go into theater.
Wow.
You shouldn't have to beg, and your teacher shouldn't have to beg the principal over at Sheffield Career and Technology Center because you can't have a working oven to go through your CCTE class. Let me do you one better. My nephew, who just got out the hospital, junior at Hamilton High School, they touted this big old CSI program that they put in Hamilton. Oh, we big old CSI. They don't have anything in there. They're not learning anything. It's not hands-on. That's not how we went through CCTE and when we were in high school. And for those older generations, VOTEC. Because people don't know it or not, I was on the dual path. And do you know, before I went to college, my CCTE class in Hamilton High School got my first job?
Wow.
I learned how to be an administrative assistant, learn how to type, learn how to use a computer. And they were looking for jobs at that time in the mid to late 90s for people who had those kind of skills because computers were fairly new then.
Absolutely. I learned how to, as a matter of fact, at Whitehaven High School, I think it was called business or something like that, where they taught us how to type. It was a typing class.
Business Professionals of America. Now, it exists, but it doesn't exist in the state of Tennessee anymore. Business Professionals of America. I was a Business Professionals of America state and regional champion. And that's why that was one of the core values that I brought to Teatown University. You don't have to be a basketball player or a football player to get into college. There are other avenues that you go. But guess what? In the current state of Memphis Shelby County schools, those avenues have been closed. You got a young man over here at Overton High School who goes to Sheffield Career Technology Center that wants to be a Michelin star chef. Guess what? We had 2 to come out of Town University. I know what that process looks like. I have a nephew that lives in Georgia. He's a chef. He got caught up in that Nicole Culinaire when it closed here in Memphis. And there was nowhere for those students to go. And guess what I did? Me being me, I found him a way. And that's what I promise these children every day. I'm going to find you a way. So now you're going into the second year of a CCTE program coming next year because you done missed 180 calendar days without the resources that you need. What resources are going to be there for you next year? Now, let me go back to your point about the budget and the audit. Everybody keep on saying, well, it wasn't but. Well, it wasn't but. I said this on your show the last time. Tamara, I used to work for Service Master, okay? I worked in their home improvement division, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know how much appliances cost.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was one of those perks that we get. You know, I get union perks for the job that I'm on now, where we get percentages off stuff like 25% off appliances, or you know, or buy one get one free and all that other stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
We used to get those perks when I was working for Service Master. A Viking oven, which is the top of the line oven, which is the kind that they use on Hell's Kitchen, if you pay close attention while they flashing the cameras through, has Viking on them. Top of the line, one of the best ovens you can buy. Okay, you know how much those things cost?
How much?
They're $5,000. Starting $5,000, depending on what the upgrades that you can get on them. Now they can range all the way up to $12,000. But a basic Viking oven can cost you about up to $5,000. So you're talking about 2 ovens for a cooking class, which is 2 ovens. That's $10,000. What dent is $10,000 putting in $1.7 million?
Nothing at all, because they're paying the celebrities that they paid talking about, you know, to be able to come to this city and take pictures with talking about some program, because they have to pay them for those appearances. They're paying them about $20 each.
So my question is, you can spend money on that, but you can't get these children top of the line, top quality Viking ovens for just $10,000. 2 of them will make a whole world of difference. Those children over there trying to learn how to cook on hot plates. If Gordon Ramsay was to walk in there, the first thing he'll say, this is dreadful. We have to open up an atmosphere that will let kids realize their dreams. Anybody who came out of Town University, Tamara, will tell you, Mr. Morris, let us realize our dreams. You came to me and asked me for, hey, I want to sing. Okay, hey, program director, Miss Linda Williams. Shout out to my program director, Miss Linda Williams. Shout out to Linda Williams. Hey, Linda, you used to sing with the Mad Lads. Can we do a choir? We sure can, Mr. Mark. And we had a community choir for people who wanted to sing. We had these children going to the radio station, singing on WDIA. Hey, let's bring the Teen Town Singers back. That's how that idea was created. We have to put the correct investments in children.
Because I absolutely believe that, and I know they say they got it in some sort of form. They remember, because we're the same age. Remember when we had Votech? And so even when I was in junior high school, and I think I spoke about this before, when I would go down to wood shop, they taught us how to make wood. We would be carving our names, the wood, and making our initials with keychains. wooden
Mhm.
keychains with our names and stuff on it. The other kids would be over when we were in shop. The other kids chose auto mechanic, so they had some type of skill when they got out of school. It started in junior high school. Now they call it middle school. It started then. Black kids had some type of skill, so they were, when they were in high school, they could make a little extra money. You know, they call them shade tree mechanics, but they weren't robbing, stealing, and killing. They could change somebody's oil in the neighborhood.
I said I wish I would have went into auto mechanics, because I said I wouldn't be spending an enormous amount of money on fixing my car.
Absolutely. But
Cars
they
are
took all of that out of the schools. We went over to, I used to know how to sew, because in home economics, they had sewing machines, and we would sew pillows with our names and initials on them. And then we had stoves, and we would cook. I remember the first thing we ever cooked was a lasagna. They taught us etiquette and all of that. They've taken all of that out of the schools.
So I took home economics, Bellevue Junior High School. Even going to an optional school, at that time, it wasn't any different from going to what they call we were level 8, level 6 school. That's what they called them. Okay. So being in the optional program, which is one thing why I explained to, when I was in an endorsement meeting, when I explained to them, parents are left with the task of finding the best educational option for their child, whether that be a private school, whether that be a charter school, or whether that be a legacy Memphis Shelby County school. Okay, we went to Bellevue Junior High School. I never will forget the best home economics teacher, I think, in the whole state of Tennessee, Doris Wilson. Okay, we actually had the materials that we needed. But in the same token, to your point, my brother, he went to Hamilton Junior High School, and they had the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He had his wood shop class. They had a cooking class. They had home ec. It wasn't no different just because I was at honors classes and they didn't offer the honors classes at Hamilton Junior High School. We're talking about way back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We had everything there. I just went there because they said it was a better option. Going to an optional school was a better choice for children who intended on going to college. My brother didn't intend on going to college.
BTW had all of that too. Every school had it, starting in junior high school. He said Booker T. Washington had it.
I had theater at Hamilton High School. I didn't have to go to Overton for theater. I had choir at Hamilton High School. I didn't have to go anywhere. I was in theater. I was in speech classes. Sexual education. We had that in the school.
We had that it was called early childhood education. Absolutely.
Miss O'Brien down there on the first floor. We actually had a daycare in Hamilton High School. It wasn't no such thing as the adolescent parenting center. If you got pregnant while you was a teenager, you went to school and your child went down there daycare at Hamilton High School.
Absolutely.
See, those are what we call wrap-around services. We had a whole daycare. I don't know. I went around by the band room, but I don't remember. I think the playground is still out there at Hamilton High School.
Yes, Dr. Mel Harper, this is live. We're still live.
Those were the wraparound services. And I'm glad Dr. Mel Harper is on here because she could be the best one. And that's probably the next guest you need to have on your show, Tamara, of talking about phonics. This lady is a global educator. Okay?
I would love to.
When her idea of phonics and what they were teaching, which my son, the program that she tried to pitch to the district, let me tell you, that was a program that my grandson was part of because it was a curriculum. When we're talking about literacy, It was a curriculum. Let me tell you something. When I put my grandson in the Memphis Merit Academy Charter School, he came out of kindergarten not reading no sight words. He came out of kindergarten reading entire books. Okay? I had never seen that in my whole career. Me and Dr. Mel had this conversation. I had never seen that. I was shocked. I said, wait a minute. Let me go up to this school and see what's going on, because this is a special place. Now, I was certified K through 12, but I've never taught the lower grades. I never taught below. The lowest grade I taught was 4th grade. Okay. See, about time, and then the head of school at the time, Lakina Booker, who's the executive director now, she told me, she said, well, Mr. Morris, and it was the same thing Dr. Mel told me. Well, Mr. Morris, in kindergarten through 3rd grade, they're supposed to be learning to read. Okay? By 3rd grade, they're supposed to be reading. They're not supposed to be learning to read in the 3rd grade. See, that's where the 3rd grade retention law came from. Because 3rd grade, they're supposed to be reading for comprehension. They're supposed to be understanding what they're reading, not learning to read in the 3rd grade. See, all that comes with KK, 1st grade, 2nd grade. They're learning to read. Mm-hmm. But somehow that curriculum got lost. Because by the time they get to the 3rd grade, they're already 2 to 3 grade levels below proficiency. These are the little things that need to be looked at. Then some of the board members will go back and they'll say, well, y'all don't really know how the board works. We don't set academic policy. That is true. Okay? You don't shape academic policy. However, you're in charge of the person that does shape that policy. And whoever he has working up under him in that academic office, those are the people that the board need to be pushing. Look, we need to push these programs so we can put in an early intervention. See, but a lot of people don't understand what's going on, Tamara.
That's exactly what it was called, Rochelle. I'm looking at the people in the chat. Rochelle said, I took early childhood at Overton in 96. That's exactly what it was called, early childhood. I'm sorry, Damon.
So what happened was, with this literacy, is that we got behind the 8 ball as far as we could blame parents all day long. Yeah, my grandmother taught me words. My grandmother was a teacher. She taught me things, I would ask. I was an inquisitive child. That's how I learned how to cook. My grandmother never used any kind of measuring tools, like people used to cook. My grandmother had 2 instruments when she cooked anything. She had a teacup and a spoon. That's all she used. And it was magic the way she would use the palm of her hand to measure out things and taste things. And I never could duplicate it. I can't cook like her. I can't cook like her. So here's the thing, Tamara. We need to go back to the basics. I said that when I ran for school board last time. We need to go back to the basics. I was even telling them then, back to the basics. Let's back up and go back to the basics. My grandson is an excellent reader. He can read something. He won't stumble over his words. He can see it. He can comprehend. And one thing that was really good about him, if my grandson didn't understand the word, he would ask me what it meant. And he would continuously ask me until he got what the word meant. I would use it in sentences. He would say, Granddad, what does that mean? Even now, if I use a big word that he doesn't know, he'll tell me, he said, Granddad, what does that mean? And I'll sit there and I explain it to him. It doesn't take me long now, like when he was in kindergarten, but it doesn't take me long now. I said, well, you know how, and this is what they talk about critical thinking, because you relate it to a real life experience. So I tell him, I said, hey, look, well, you know how your motorcycle or your dirt bike, it does X, Y, and Z. See, then he understands it. That's comprehension. That's proficiency. And you walk in any school let me tell you something. I'm still got the challenge out there for everybody that don't believe what I'm saying. Don't announce when you come and just walk into high school. Walk in your area high school. You'll walk out there crying. Some of them. I just told a classmate of mine, she's a retired teacher. I just told a classmate of mine, Hamilton High School, I said, I hate this school. She said, I even tried to go back and sub at that school, Damon, and I couldn't do it. I said, with us being Hamiltonians, love Hamilton, absolutely. For us to say we hate that school, you're talking about, Tamara, 10 generations of my family in that school. All the way from when it was old Greenwood School, which sat on a hill up there in Menega and Cincinnati. My grandmother went to old Greenwood School, which was the catalyst of Hamilton. You know why they call Greenwood? Greenwood because Green Polonius Hamilton. And news alert, that was your first black millionaire here in Memphis and Shelby County. Mm-hmm. The only Hamilton High School, one of the only Hamilton High Schools not named after Alexander Hamilton. That's another story for another time. But what we're talking about here tonight is accepting responsibility. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to do that anymore, Tamara. Nobody wants to accept responsibility for anything. We're in a pot. Positions, offices, and titles. As I'm telling everybody out of these polls, having commissioner in front of my name ain't more important than the professor in front of my name. Because I said, if I'm elected to this school board, I'm a demand that everybody still call me professor. Don't call me commissioner. Because it's not that important. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that you have so many people at this point wanting those that are not sincere? What do you think the benefits are for them being on the school board?
They've had
trying to jump into these positions, and because a lot of them are not qualified.
Okay, here's the deal. Nobody has still took the challenge because we're still in a pot of nepotism. Okay. So you're not going to hold your friend accountable. I'm going to give a shout out to Marcus Randolph, Tamika Abrams. They will hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm. Is Tamika Abrams running? Is she running for a position? I've seen her.
She's running for Tennessee State Legislative District 33 against London Lamar.
Okay.
And see, some of these politicians that have been long-standing politicians that think this is a game. Okay, London Lamar included. She thinks this is a game. This ain't no game. Because you can go ask any past board members, any past council members. When it comes to the people, Damon Morris don't play. I can't be bought. I just put that up there when Malcolm X said that J. Edgar Hoover, they tried to buy Malcolm. They tried to sell Malcolm out. So what is the only thing that they could do to Malcolm to make Malcolm go away? Kill him.
Kill him. Mm-hmm.
I
love it when you post those clips about Malcolm X. He was confident, he was sure, and he stood tall to the very end, didn't he?
And that's what I do. You may not like my delivery, and that goes to anybody who's still not voted. You may not like what I have said or things I have said, but I want you to focus in on what I've done. the programs that I have provided for this community, athletic programs, academic programs. Ask anybody running against me what they have done before they decided to run. You got one candidate. That says, "Oh well, I was a teacher for 12 years. I moved this school to one of the highest performing schools in the state. Okay, so why are you still not there if what you were doing was working?" Then you go to the website, you got a rubric up there, and that's all fine and good, but that doesn't qualify you to be a board member. Then you got a resume, that's all there, where you went to school, and you got a nonprofit nobody's ever heard of. Okay, let's go to another opponent of mine. Okay, and I'm just being real. Let's go to another opponent of mine. Sat on the TNDP for this district that I'm sitting in right now, and I'm Shelby County. I'm Shelby County, the Democratic Party Executive Committeeman Chairman for District 10. You're the TNDP representative for my district, and nobody in any community in this district knows it, other than the people that you hang out with in Germantown.
Wow.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
People are calling me on the phone because I'm a visible community leader here, asking me, "Who are you?" I know you because you're a member of the Shelby County Democratic Party. But I've never seen any of your work in this community. What about all the, and not around election time, it's every year. What about all the turkey drives I've had, all the coat drives I've had, all the feeding the homeless that I've had, all of the game nights I've had, all of the mentoring program that I started that somebody stole? They have been trying to get me to reopen Town University for 3 years now. They've begged me to do it. Let me tell you the problem with that. If you walk into any community center around 4:30 in the evening, it's empty. The city of Memphis spends an abundant amount of money on Memphis Parks. Most people don't even know that Memphis Parks is funded for a tutoring program. There's supposed to be tutoring programs in every community center.
Wow.
Once the city budget come out, look at Memphis Park's budget. It's in the budget. Me and Councilwoman Yolanda Cooper Sutton, when we was on the campaign trail and people was talking about Memphis Parks, we were yelling at them. It's in the budget. See, we can't have people out here trying to steal elections who are not going to properly represent the people. Look how they moving now. I don't care if you sit up here talking about, well, you cuss and you don't know how to talk to women and this, that, and the other. That's your opinion. You a woman, Tamara. I know I talk to you, right?
Right.
I'm going to talk to you like you talk to me. I don't care if you're a man, woman, or child. Okay, you come at me with disrespect, you're going to get disrespect. When he cussed London Lamar out, I said, do you know the reason why I cussed London Lamar out? Because she cussed my elders out and she lied on me.
Wow. She cussed the elders out?
Yes. And see, here's part of my discernment. Sarah Carpenter is the elder that she cussed out. Sarah let me hear it.
Wow.
She has it recorded. She said that she was going to get on my live and play it for the community. Me being a person of peace, I didn't even press Sarah on the issue. So while you're trying to say I'm this big bad monster, I was raised, born, and reared in the Church of God in Christ. I have morals, even though what you did was wrong. Then you got on the Tennessee Senate floor and you stated that we were getting paid for our advocacy up in Nashville, and I'm still waiting on my check. You still owe the historic Orange Mound Collaborative Group funds that you didn't pay. You haven't shown up to an event in Orange Mound.
Wow.
The whole time you've been on the Senate. You have not been visible in the community. I had got a call from the neighborhood association over in Belter Grove, and they was trying to tell me, Damon, London Lamar want to make peace with you. You can't make peace with me after you lied on me. I don't forgive her. And go back to what I just said when my son told everybody how to deal with me. Don't lie to him and don't lie on him.
I'm with you on that.
And everybody think that just because it's me, I'm supposed to show everybody grace. Why everybody's not giving that same? Why isn't everybody not held to that same standard? Well, because I am who I am. I know who I am, and I'm gonna fight for these children till the day I die.
Amen.
I don't care if I have a title or not. I'm going to still be down there at that school board. I'm still going to be giving them the business. I'm going to still be at that county commission. I'm still going to be giving them the business. I'm going to still be at that city council. I'm going to still be giving them the business.
Let's straighten something up, Damon. Now, they posted an old picture of you to try and mislead people as if, when I saw that, I said, oh my God, totally misleading, as if you had been arrested for you had a mug shot and you had been recently arrested for harassing people on the polls. Explain to the people in TV land what actually happened and why you have that.
Well, we talked about it. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. Bob Wimbush, who's supposed to be this whistleblower, you know, he's lied on many people and he's been wrong about many things. He is working for one of my opponents. Because of that situation that popped off at early voting, he had to try to do damage control. Because of what I just told you that happened with that. He had to do damage control. So he put up this fabricated lie, and then just like my nephew told everybody, who didn't know that I was arrested at that school board? But do you know the truth about that? Were you in the courtroom when Karen Massey got so mad that she threw all of the charges out, including the criminal charges that they were trying to bring against me? My lawyer, he expunged them the same day. They charged me with a charge. This came from a police conspiracy that has gone to the TBI. There have been several police officers decommissioned quietly. The Tillman precinct has a whole new staff. That we were on a phone call, 7 of us on the phone call with Police Chief C.J. Davis. Her own officers lied to her on that phone call. And the officers that got away, they're hiding in the precinct somewhere.
Wow.
If they see me, I was just notified that Colonel Kathleen Lanier up there in Internal Affairs has been removed.
Wow.
See, we got to stop pulling the wool over people's eyes. But anyway, of course, you know, board member Stephanie Love, and we, just like I said, this is still in litigation, so there's too much, there's not enough that I can talk about. Took a 30-second clip off of my Facebook Live, broke the law with Steve Morroy. See, that's why these folks coming after them. So anyway, I went to the board meeting and I was on Memphis Park's property. You can't, the board meeting is tomorrow night. You can't stop me from going down there. That's the Open Meetings Act. Go look it up. I am the parent of MSCS students. You can't stop me from interacting with my board members. Okay, Steve Morris said that on camera. Irregardless of if it's your job or not. I'm a MSCS parent. My name is in the Power School portal. If something pops off with my niece and my nephew up at Hamilton High School, I'm the first call that come through. Because trust me, you don't want to talk to my brother when he gets angry. So Bob Wimbush had to cover his client because look, I ain't in nobody's pockets. I don't care how you get your money. But that candidate was wrong. She was wrong for that statement that she put out. When it involved my grandson, she was wrong for not trying to talk to me about the situation. She was wrong on all fronts. So you want to bring up an old mugshot, which everybody knew what happened with that arrest. It was people that got fired. I got a lawsuit pending now for breaking the HIPAA law. I have a whole bunch of stuff that's sitting on my attorney's desk, and he just waiting to file it. And he's just waiting to file it. Because this board member lied on a police report. And Steve Morroy, once again, protecting his friends, did not want a prosecutor.
Wow. And that is definitely illegal. That's falsifying the government document to file.
That's falsifying a government document. And when you put that school board address on that document, you put yourself in your official capacity. So once again, what I was talking to some of the poll members about, the voters out today, y'all wrapping this district up in so much litigation. Till these children are not going to survive it. Look at what just happened to that little girl down at Downtown Elementary. Are you familiar with that story? They sent that straight to me.
No.
A young girl was attacked during recess at Downtown Elementary School.
Oh my God.
She had bruised ribs. Her ribs were almost broken. One girl pinned her down while the other girl stopped her.
Oh my God.
Do you know what they told the father?
What?
Well, ain't nothing gonna get done out to these girls until after TCAP.
Oh my goodness.
But my child is sitting up in Labana doing TCAP.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Wow. Wow.
And Michelle McKenzie running for re-election, and that's her school, and she ain't said a word.
And whose school is that? Michelle McKissick's school?
And hasn't said a word.
Wow.
And see, that's what the board uses to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. Litigation. But you're costing the taxpayers money.
But didn't the governor just sign a bill? But see, that bill does not stop the public from filing lawsuits against the school. And you have a school board.
You have a group of parents right now who are planning a class action lawsuit against the Memphis-Shelby County School Board. That is a reality. These are a group of parents that want the state intervention, and they're planning a class action lawsuit for failures of this district. We could talk about Davidson County all day long. We can talk about Cumberland County all day long. We can talk about Knox County all day long. We could talk about racism all day long. And just like when my nephew reposted that video of them dragging me out of the school board, what the white folks said. That's exactly what he said. Where are the white folks in this video? Miss me with that.
Wow.
Don't go hollering racism when you destroying your own people.
destroying your own people. And you know what's funny to me? How the school board is trying to redistribute the blame when they're the cause of this. When you talk about the state, and I remember that they could, you know, supposedly they had gotten Dr. Harrington as an advisor. I guess they hired him as an advisor. But what did he say recently? That the takeover to him, according to him, he felt like it was necessary, according to what he saw.
And then somebody tried to spin that. That's not all he said. They took it out of context. I said, well, see, that kills me. That really does. That really does. When you got these folks coming behind who think they got a little bit of power or a little bit of influence, and they come behind and try to make you feel that you a fool. Because
the man did a whole interview. He said what he said.
Did you see the interview with Althea Green?
No. When
I saw that video, I thought I was in the land of Oz. I had to pass my phone to my coworker. I said, "Is that Althea Green talking?" And she said, "I'm listening to the same thing you listening to, Professor." She said she wants the state to come in. I said, "Not Althea Green." Then here come the narrative out. Oh, she mad because she lost to Natalie McKinney. Such and such. Memphis, stop doing that. Look at what is in front of your face. I said everybody should have. The last class I taught over at the University of Memphis back in October was a class on political optics. Everybody should have took that class. Because just like that former teacher told me yesterday, it's not what they're doing, it's what we're seeing them do. What does this look like? I'm seeing, and then here go. I'm reading the comments. Oh, well, she wants a position on that managing board. She lobbying for a position on that managing board. But just about a year and a half ago, oh, Althea Green is a good board chair. She just so and so and all this other stuff. Memphis, you got to be one way. Shelby County, you got to be one way. You got to stop protecting your friends. You got to hold your friends accountable. Because if we don't, this county will be doomed, and more importantly, these children will be doomed. I'm not going to walk in there and tell my grandson to do anything wrong out in this street. Like I said last night on my live, my grandmother had one rule. You do right, right gonna follow you, and I'll be up on you 100% when you're doing right. But if you do wrong, I'm the first one that's going to issue out them consequences.
I want to ask this question that this young man just put in the chat. He said, "Mr. Morris, forgive me if I missed your answer on this, but where did it go wrong and what is the resolve?"
I said this to the board. I said this to board member O'Shea. I said this to board member Porter. I said it to board chair Natalie McKinney. We're at a point of no return with this board. And one of my good friends, Miss Glenda Hicks, told me tonight, the only way that we're going to be able to fix this is that they resign. Every last one of them. Step down. They said they're going to the school board meeting tomorrow to ask them to step down. And that's the only way. How did we get here? Not listening. We talked about that, Tamara. Mm-hmm. Just because you got a title on your name don't mean you know more than the next person. That's what diplomacy is about. That's what diplomacy is about. There were so many things they could have done to prevent this. So many things. I will say that to the day I shall pass away. So many things.
Well,
I appreciate that question because the atonement is just not there, but it's a group of people getting ready to go to the school board meeting tomorrow, and they're going to ask the school board members to step down. You did this. Step down. You did this. Step down. The county commissioners already asked you all to step down. That's the only way. And these people going to keep on fighting till this current board is gone.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we have a lot of the kickback that we get from this board. This has been the most rebellious board. A lot of people say this is the most rebellious board that they've ever seen. And I think a lot of people know that they won't be reelected. And you see the rebellion. It's nothing. I don't give a damn about the kids. Well, I don't care. They're not going to reelect me anyway. So I'm going to spend as much money as I can spend. But it's supposed to be about the children.
Go ask the incumbent in my race what was some of her biggest accomplishments, and she's been on the board for 2 terms. You, as a person with integrity, you serve 2 terms. It's time for you to step down. Because let me make this clear. I'm not getting in this board seat to be there forever. I already got several students who wants to get involved in politics that I'm grooming to come behind me. A mental health expert, juniors and seniors. So by the time I finish my 2 terms, they'll be ready to come flow on in and get these young folks in there so we could start this pattern. And I told them, I said, if I get this board seat, I made it clear to them, I want y'all to pay it forward. Because I'm grooming y'all to come behind me. Because anybody else who's thinking outside of what I just said, you part of the problem. Because you must think you're going to live to be 100 years old. God done blessed some of us with them days, but it ain't going to be everybody. So if you're not building that bridge for the person, if you're not building that bridge and walking it at the same time, then you can't expect the older people behind you to cross it.
That's true.
If you got a closed gate sign in front of your bridge that says close to people that I just don't like, then how are you building the future? How are you building a tax base? How are you going to encourage people in this kind of economy to go and open up businesses? Most of the black-owned restaurant spots that were in the hood, they didn't move to Cordova, Germantown. It's barely anywhere to eat. Because what? We ain't supporting one another.
We're not supporting one another. I want to ask you this. What is your stance on teachers' pay and their working conditions?
I addressed this in an endorsement interview. Teachers are mainly, the number one thing teachers are complaining about now is behavior. Of course, I am tired of this President on slice that we got. Because he has moved the professional designation off of the teacher's profession. We already had teachers that were not going into their profession. Okay, they're not going into the profession anymore. They're not taking up teacher education in school anymore, in college anymore. They don't want to be teachers. So President Owen Slice's main objective is to make the teaching position and downgrade it further than what it is to an hourly job. That's not what's best for children.
It's not. And they already weren't being paid what they should have been paid.
So if they're not getting paid what they're getting paid now, that's why I say the power and importance of voting. Trump can't run no more, no way. At least he's going to try to do it again. But anyway, he can't run no more anyway. So you're trying to make, just like it's the same concept. And I'm a union man. It's the same concept As them closing that GXO facility down, and Nike just laid off 1,000 more people across the country and replaced them with robots.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So we're losing labor all over the country.
It's sad. It's really sad. I had written down some questions that I know that we've been on here almost 2 hours. I want to ask you this. What role should parents have in decisions about curriculum and policies? What roles do you think that they should have, in your opinion?
I had a head of school walk me through his school. Let me tell you his plan. And this was a charter. He said, Mr. Morris, I sit my students down at the end of the school year. We do surveys. Tell them what they want to see, what they want to improve. What should we do? He said, we have parent meetings, mandatory parent meetings. We take these surveys. What do you want to see in the school? Because school climate surveys is what they call it. What do you want to see in the schools? And parents, I urge you to fill those out because they are listening. At least I know in these charters they are. You know, I walked through this head of school. I said, okay, my niece wants to be in the choir because she sings in the choir at church. So she wants to be in the choir. You know, she saw old pictures of me being in the choir at Hamilton High School. She wants to be in the choir. She wants a choir at Hamilton. He said, if my students come to me in a collective group and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, we want a choir. He said, I do my best to make that happen. And parents' input is the same thing. Just like my grandson's charter school, they wanted athletics. The head of school made that happen. The executive director made that happen. When they opened up the middle school, they said they wanted athletics. Even in the elementary, they started in the elementary school. Now, is it where it could be? No, because they're still growing. But it still does what, Tamara? Gives them that exposure, that access. You got candidates out here for school board that have stolen my whole spiel. Talking about we need to access. Where did you get that from?
From you.
See, because they're in a certain place.
From you. I'm gonna tell you what has happened. They know that you've had a plan. They've watched you and they've listened to you, and so now the time they become scared. This is why they're playing these shenanigans. Okay, of trying to destroy your reputation, but they have to try to minimize who you are because if people start paying you some attention, they're gonna know a lot of what they are saying you said a long time ago. So they're going to know exactly where they got it from. So that's why they have to try to minimize you, try to make you look like a troublemaker. They have to try to put all types of crazy stuff out there about you because they want to try to minimize who you are. Because if people really started to pay close attention, they would see that a lot of what they say you've already done. Actually, you've already done with your organization. You've already put this stuff into action, and it has worked.
And Tamara, you spot on. Just like the CCTE class that I created for Crosstown High School, the HVAC program, that they're consortium with Mortec. Okay, let me give y'all a news flash. I tried to pitch that idea to the district first. They wouldn't take it. Took it straight to a charter. They said, yeah, Mr. Morris, use the pre-ETS program. And for those who don't know what pre-ETS is, that's pre-employment transition services. If you got special ed students in your school, you're supposed to have their program in their pre-ETS. It's a program through the Tennessee Department of Intellectual Developmental Disabilities, TNDIDD. It's called the TNDA now. I know everything there is to know about a disabled person, a disabled student, and if I need advice from anybody, I can go to Dr. Dr. Melinda Harper. I can go to Dr. Cinda Manny, who was one of the best special ed teachers in the whole Memphis-Shelby County schools. She's retired now as a consulting firm helping parents with IEPs. I know about IEPs. I know special ed is my baby. And I created this class at Crosstown High School. Mindy Bayer was the special ed teacher over there at Crosstown. Called the man over at Mortet, took a phone call, didn't take any money, took a phone call. Just put that relationship. We're going to have to move forward with meaningful partnerships in this school district moving forward. Mm-hmm. I just made a phone call. It wasn't something that I was sitting up there, hey, let me get some clout. So I said, let me see how I can make, here's how I think, let me see how I can make this happen. Because some of these students in the pre-employment transition program, they wanted to be HVAC techs. So we created a consortium with an internship, with they get paid during the summertime when they're out of school. And then once they hit more tech, they don't have to go, but at the minimum, 12 to 14 months on a 24-month program.
Wow. And
then they have a job, if they want it, Conway, Opak, Hiller. They can go wherever they want to go. Greenway. And now I implemented that program in Crosstown High School in 2018, and it's still going on over there.
Wow.
Do you know how much an HVAC tech make? Same thing as a plumber.
A lot.
They're up to the HVAC tech is up to. Do you know HVAC techs makes a lot in the South? Mm-hmm. And then that's a skill you can take across state lines. That's a skill you can take to another state. If you didn't want to live here in Tennessee, you can go to another state. Especially down south, where it's hot most of the year.
Absolutely.
So you're talking about on average coming in with a starting salary of over $150,000 a year for your best HVAC techs. That's a skill that will create generational wealth.
Yes, it will. A skill that can be passed down. Absolutely.
Because we always need air conditioners.
Absolutely.
It's just like a mortician. Post gonna die every day. It's just like mortuary sciences. So it can be done, Tamara. It can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done. Who's willing to get on this train with me and do it?
Absolutely.
Who's willing?
Make it about the children.
Who's willing? Who's willing to listen to Youth Minds United about everything they're going on in school? This project graduation class they have over here at Hamilton High School, where they say half the students ain't listening. Okay, go in there and evaluate room by room, teacher by teacher. What's problem? What is? I attended a seminar with Joe Canada, and he came down here, and first time he came down, he ripped the whole district a new one for what they were doing. But it was a simple concept, Tamara. He said that I went to my teachers up in Harlem, and I asked them, what do you need? If you failed to tell me what you needed, and then you didn't produce no results when it came to the end of the year, I don't want to hear no excuses, because I said what you needed, I was going to get for you. If you needed computers, you're going to have them. If you needed books, you're going to have them. So time and time and time again, it goes back into that one magical word, accountability. And my mom.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My mom just told me, she said, she said, you have ran for office 3 times and I've been there every time you ran for office. She said, it's something about this time. They are deathly afraid of you getting on that school board.
Yes, they are.
She said they wouldn't be doing all the things that they're doing if they wasn't deathly afraid. Because you're going to get things done. What has that school board significantly got done? But most of them board members have been on there 2 years now.
Well, I'll tell you what they've gotten done. They've made some attorneys rich and some PR firms.
In that order.
A whole heck of a lot of money with them.
In that order.
The money that they could be using to bring back programs that actually help to give these children skills. Damon, tell them what areas your district run in.
The MSCS School Board District 9 covers from Orange Mound to the Ridgeway Loop. Includes communities like Orange Mound, Cherokee, the Messick community, Colonial Acres, Parkway Village, parts of Hickory Hill, the Ridgeway Loop by Ridgeway High School. It is a very diverse district, one of the most diverse districts in MSCS. You have a heavily Hispanic population, and shout out to my Raza, which is in Parkway Village. A lot of them over there by a lot of Hispanic population over there by Greater Middle Baptist Church in that area, which is Parkway Village and Knight Arnold and Mount Moriah, Mendenhall over in that area. It touches a little bit of Hickory Hill. Now, I found out recently that when they redistricted it, they cut majority of Hickory Hill out of it. But it is still a little part of Hickory Hill that's in there. And it services a vast majority of white, black, and a mixture of racial students in MSCS. I mean, even with the East Memphis Vikings who practice in 9, we got a diverse team. Hispanics, or white children, and black children are part of that football team. So it is a very diverse Willow Oaks Elementary School, which I talked to some of the leadership over there just recently. They didn't have good things to say about the board member, the incumbent. But anyway, the Hispanic community feels like they have been left out, and they are a big part.
Left out.
They are a big part of MSCS District 9. Let me hit the hit just for a minute, Tamara. Give me, if you allow me some latitude.
Absolutely.
The Hispanic community is finna be some of the most affected students in MSCS. I've talked to John Best several times. Okay, y'all got a deaf interpreter up there, but where's the Spanish interpreter? Okay, you have a school board member who insulted the entire Hispanic community. Well, she apologized. That wasn't enough for them. Okay, it's people in Parkway Village that haven't forgotten, the Hispanic community that has not forgotten about that. Once again, go back to accountability. Okay, they feel like their voices are not being heard. Programs are not being tailored to them. Things like that. These immigration bills that are about to take effect on July the 1st will have a detriment to our Hispanic population and community. And you have a board member that is sitting there, an incumbent running for re-election. And I add more to it before I take it back. Where a whole school says that they don't feel like she cares about them, and you're the board representative in that area. Now, somebody's going to hear this and they're going to run back and tell her. So you expect her to be visiting that school this week because she's running for the re-election. But she's neglected them for 8 years.
Wow. And that's another thing I got to say this, because I say this all of the time. As African Americans, we have to stop allowing people, and any voter, but it especially happens in our community. We got to stop letting people play in our face.
Exactly.
Nothing for our community. They do nothing for our community, but when it's time for re-election, they come back into our community, okay? And they want to grin in our faces. They want to kiss our babies. We don't see them for 4 years. So they're really pimping us for our vote.
And we're still going to have this division in Memphis Shelby County schools. Because did you read that information that I sent you about the incumbent?
Yes, I do believe I did read that.
And what the teachers had to say?
I did read that.
Do you know that post that my nephew put up has gotten over 7.5 views, 7.5K views already? Those same teachers that are up under that post were the same teachers that were surrounding me at that rally Saturday. You had the president of UEA out there at the rally. The incumbent board member parked her car at the end of the street and was not interacting with anybody out there.
Hey, Miss Spencer McGee, glad to have you in here. That's another activist in our city, you guys. Very strong activist.
She didn't have anything to do with anybody out there. She didn't come over and speak to me. She didn't come over and speak to any other people. Why are you running for re-election and you are scared of your people? Because you're scared that they're going to ask you the tough questions. That's not a leader.
It's not a leader at all.
I'm getting criticized every day.
One of the people said, they says, I live in District 9 and I'm so confused by our association endorsing her after she terminated Fagans against teachers' wishes. No polls asking our opinion, nothing.
And Tanya, let me tell you the truth. Then cut the comments off up underneath. Y'all got to stop running and hiding from the truth, because God is the truth. And whether you want to or not, guess what? God is going to come through like a flood. Amen, somebody.
Amen.
And you ain't going to like the way God do it. My grandmama used to say that. If you ain't atoning to God, you ain't going to like the way God, when God come in like a flood, baby, you ain't going to like how God do it.
It totally goes back to not respecting the people that help to keep these organizations going. Now, you have teachers who pay, I'm sure they pay union dues, and you go against the people that help to keep an organization going?
That's something that needs to be up for discussion. That's the same thing happened when we tried to get the board members removed. When we tried to put all the races back on the ballot. I had one of the teachers that was a member of UEA reach out to me and tell me that I'm on the board, and we didn't agree to put that letter out. in support of them removing the board members. We didn't put that letter out. I got to the county commission and the UEA president got mad at me because I busted him out. I said, I didn't know that lady. She just sent me the information. See, one thing you have to understand about Damon Morris, I don't play ball when folks are out here doing other people wrong. I'm not finna let you send me to hell. I'm not finna lie for you. I'm gonna tell the people what it is. Now people deal with it. This the truth. And if I'm lying, somebody come back and tell me I'm lying.
Tamika says, I live in District 7 and my school board member is horrible. Who's over District 7?
You know who over District 7.
I never mind. Okay, no, never mind. Don't say it. You don't have to.
Etta James.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. She said, Rochelle says, my daughter attends Crosstown High School now. That's a great school.
Very good school.
My goodness. Well, Damon, I believe that I know that we have an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
And, the turnouts have been low, but you guys, we got to get out there and vote. We do. And I know a lot of people ask me, why do you still come on Comcast? I know a lot of older voters still look at TV because they just want to, have the remote in their hand and change the TV. And people have to be informed. And, I wish I didn't. I'm thinking about, well, let's see. Election day is on May what?
May 5th. We got 3 more days of early voting. You can still early vote until May 30th. May 30th is the last day of early voting.
April 30th?
April 30th. I'm sorry. April 30th is the last day of early voting.
Okay, April 30th. That would be Saturday. No, that's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
That's Thursday. And then May 5th would be voting day. You guys, people have been talking about the numbers and how low the numbers are. Let's get out there in droves. We really got to be motivated. Don't believe the hype when they say, "Oh, this city is corrupt," and it is. Your vote don't count. No, that's what they want you to believe so that they can continuously put their bobbleheads in office. Because see, this is what I can't understand, Damon, and this is what hurts me as a Black woman. How can other Black people take money to get into office and sell out the future of their people? A lot of these people have grown up in these neighborhoods. They saw how their parents struggle. They saw what the struggle was. Nobody has to tell them anything. And then you get older and you get you grow up, okay? You get older and then you run for office and you come back and sell out the future of your people. This is what I can't understand. And so this is why I say there has to be a change. We have the power as the people. I think a lot of people now, they feel so powerless, but there's strength in numbers. We have the power. Your vote counts. If nothing else, you cancel out another vote, okay? But if you don't vote, these same people will continuously get back into office. It's time to change the face of politics in Memphis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much they're being paid. We decide their money, whoever it is that's paying these cuckabug heads to sell out the future of their people. That'll be some lost money if we get out and vote.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get out and vote. Okay? So this is something that we have to do. Damon Morris, it's going to be good on that school board. Even with all of the fussy, I think they know something now, as it relates to who's running close, neck and neck, who has the advantage, because that's when people start to pull out their knives. Okay, people don't, as my dad used to say, burglars don't go up into empty houses.
Exactly.
So they know something is going on, and they're trying to uh, get people not to vote for them. They're running scared. Okay.
My mom said the same thing, Tom. She said they running scared.
Karen Spencer says 23,000 is a good number for early voting in Shelby County.
Right.
But we need for more to get out, and they still have. She says that part. When I first got home, the nepotism was unbelievable, putting folks in positions because they're your friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what's happening. You know, that's exactly what's happening.
Going, folks. Let's get up and go, folks.
But anyway, Damon, I enjoyed having you on here. I know we've been on here almost 2.5 hours. I really enjoyed. I got to edit this, and I'm gonna have to make this a 2-part situation for TV. But I really appreciate you coming on. This
I
has been
know
a
we
great
always
show.
get into an in-depth conversation because here's what I want to let everybody know, Tamara. This is more complicated than anybody is making it out to be. But just like one man said, I was just listening to, when I went down there and talked about the school closure, Angela Whitelaw got so mad at me. But Pastor Melvin Watkins, who's classmate of mine too, Hampton High School, he gave me a thumbs up. He said you was absolutely right, because see, those are the questions that you need to ask, because they're playing on, and I'm not calling anybody names. They're playing on your ignorance, and ignorance is just not being ignorance is not being stupid. Ignorance is just that mean that you have a lack of knowledge about certain things. I have a lack of knowledge about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you still playing in this corruption game and you playing in folks' faces and you won't face the public, you're not fit to serve office.
That's true.
I'm not gonna shy away from anything. It was many people telling me, "Oh, well, you did this and you did that, you did this." I said, if I actually did that, let's talk about it. How you feel about it? Well, so then it comes to a question. Well, so and so told me. Now, if you say that to me, I'm cutting the conversation off because I don't deal in gossip.
That's right.
Well, that's what they said. Who is they? Somebody got mad because I asked them that today. What they said, I said, who is they? See, because you're disallowing me to research. If somebody says something, I need to go to them and ask them. And what was your reasoning for? It don't have to be an aggressive situation. Why did you say what you said?
Thank you, Tamika. You said this was a good. Thank you, Tamika and Rochelle. This was an excellent show. It absolutely has been a very informative show. And I mean, he came on here and he put it all out. I love it when you don't have to try to decode what someone says, especially when they're running for office. And I think that has been the problem too. There are too many generic type people. They're not transparent enough. It's time to be transparent. That's what the people put you into office for, to be transparent. And this corruption has got to stop, though. Like I said, I think I still be in shock sometimes, especially knowing the struggle of what our people, especially our grandmothers and our mothers I've seen my grandmother and them struggle, and I'm sure every other Black person has too, if they didn't grow up in a wealthy, rich home, and the majority of us did not. And to get into a position and sell out your community, I to me, I can't wrap my psyche around how that can happen. I just can't wrap my psyche around it.
You're right. And I can't either. I can't either.
Michelle said, I wish Damon was over my district.
What district
Well,
is
you
she
know what?
in? What district are you
Well,
in?
we gotta start we just gotta start a trend. Once we get Damon in and people see how passionate he is, because he's a fighter. That's what drew me to him. He is a fighter. And he's transparent. Once Damon is in, I think people are gonna want to get more in like him. But I think the face of the school board is about to totally change anyways.
Yeah, it's gonna change one way or another because that's what the people want, and I believe that's what God has ordained. Because the one thing it says in the Bible is that God protects children and old people, and they're not gonna let them.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think Pharaoh has had our people in bondage for too long. And I've been saying this for a long time. God says, Pharaoh, let my people go. And a lot of people are held in bondage because of the corruption of politics. And as my dad used to always say, they don't want Black people involved in politics. They want you to say, I leave the politics to the politician, because they know whoever controls the politics controls the money and the resources. And they don't ever want us involved. So that's why your vote is important. That's why your vote is important. You have to get out and vote. I've been doing this media thing for a long time. I'm going to tell y'all something. When they want to start a trend, when they want to put something out into the atmosphere over the internet, especially these people that have the money for media, they get their interns and stuff to start putting out propaganda, okay? And with their and they'll do it right around election time. Your vote don't matter. Your vote don't count. This corruption is going on. They're doing this and they're canceling out your vote. That gets the people unmotivated.
That's right.
These are the types of games that they play, and oftentimes it's just an intern sitting pushing that stuff out so that you can be unmotivated. And what people say, oh, I ain't gonna get up and go and vote. I'm tired, and my vote ain't gonna count anyways. I read this, and that. This is the type of stuff they do. That's the reason why you see so many wealthy people investing and getting into media, because they know whoever controls the media controls the minds of the people. Okay.
Malcolm said that. Malcolm said that.
So that's why it is important to get out and vote. I've been saying for a long time. I think almost every election we should do a rock the vote. Go and when I had thought about I was going to run for school board District 1 and was going to win. When I got out and started going down Danny Thomas and talking to some of those people, I was so happy to go into the projects and talk to some of those young women and got them motivated.
Right.
Most people want to be, you get out and you start talking to folks and you go, well, you know, if you start doing this, these resources are here for people want to do better. A lot of them just don't know how. And so when you get out and you start talking to them and you go, well, you know, we're the same. I went through this, but you know what? I did this, and that. And now I know better. All people want to be is motivated most of the time. And I'm willing to bet you a lot of those ones that's in that race, you couldn't have caught them in those projects.
That's right. That's right.
I said, that's okay. It's another time it's going to come. I was confident. I said, that's all right. It just wasn't time for that position, but God has something else in mind. And guess what? I'm going to win that one. Okay.
That's right.
But Damon, I love you. I appreciate you. Let's see, because see, we dedicated to this thing. Okay, so hopefully you'll come back on the 4th. I know you're gonna be tired. Well, no, because see,
that's the day before early vote. So, I mean, that's the day before election day. So that's not. Hey, we'll make it work.
Okay, we'll make it work. So you come back on the 4th. That's the day before election. And I'm gonna try to see if I can come and stand out there. I need to get my microphone and stuff and stand come and stand come and stand out there
Hey,
at I'm telling you, and start talking to the people and that's what I need to do. Get my camera and my microphone and go stand out there one day.
that's right. Hey, we'll love to have you on the polls. We'll love to have you on the polls. Because, like I said yesterday, I just want to give one more shout out to my kids and my students across Shelby County that came out for me Saturday. I mean, it was tremendous. And y'all, this is a movement. You see white people, you see Hispanics, you see blacks, all trying to get this message of this one is for the people across this city. Because if we're going to continue with this same leadership, we don't need this wrapped up in court for the next 10 years because we're going to lose another generation.
Mm-hmm. We got to get Dr. Mel on here too.
Oh, yes, please. Because I'm telling you, that's a global educator. And when you talk to Dr. Mel, it's going to change your life when she tells you about literacy. It's going to change your life.
Tierney said, yes, Tamara, I'm down. Let me know. Tierney was one of the ones who's like, I'm from North Memphis, where I gotta go. I'm boots on the ground. When I told her I was running for school board, it's like, I'm boots on the ground. What I gotta do? I had a team of soldiers that was ready to rock with me. I grew up in the projects until I was 12. I grew up in Clementine until I was 12. Some of the young ladies that I grew up with live in that downtown area around those projects. My best girl who had been my best friend since I was 5 years old. She said, "Come on, it's 3,000 of them on here. I'm walking with you." We got out and started walking. Didn't have no issues, and the young ladies that we spoke to was very encouraged. We're gonna do it again.
We're gonna do it again. Y'all, we're gonna march to the school board. However this turns out, my kids was like, if you don't get elected, we're gonna ride in them school. I said, no, don't y'all do that. I said, we're gonna still work and I'm gonna still make sure y'all get everything y'all need. I said, there are many things I've done without a title. There's many things I've done. I've had influence, just like I was telling you a minute ago. When they had me locked up, Steve Morrow received a phone call from Nashville and told him, you better get him out, because if you don't, you're going to have some dire consequences. Wow. And tell me when I out there jail. And the commander of the GIB unit at Tillman Station called me on the phone crying because she got fired. And told me, you very well connected. I said it wasn't about that. It was about doing the right thing.
Tamika said we need boots on the ground at the next county commission meeting.
Y'all need boots on the ground at the school board tomorrow. Everybody need to go down there and ask them board members to resign.
It will be interesting to see how they answer that. Just sitting up there. I mean, that's going to be interesting. And I know a lot of people talk about Dr. Rod Richmond or whatever his name is, but Dr. Richmond has an air about him when he's sitting up, like he's taking on whatever characteristics that the people that put him up there is taking on, as if I can't be told. He has an air about himself too.
Well, like I said, once we hit these polls, whatever the results are, we don't stop. So now let me give you a little bit of thing, y'all. We need y'all out at the polls, because as of right now, 11 days of early voting, we've only had 28,737 people to vote out of over 600,000 people.
Wow.
In a county-wide race.
Wow.
And these are countywide numbers. 28,000. So mathematically, me and my treasurer did this. Mathematically, looking at the trends of the voters from today, it was pretty crowded today. We got 3 more days of early voting. Technically, we're looking at getting about the same numbers that we had, that 11% that we had in the last primary. So that means only 55,000 people is looking to influence these races.
Wow. I was looking at something today that Heidi Klum is leading. I believe that's what I was looking at. That in the mayor's race that Heidi is leading.
It probably is. But I just don't too much look in the polls.
They'll fool you, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't too much look in the polls. I'm just saying.
Cypress, you just come there. He spoke about why he went to jail 3 times, I do believe.
What was the question?
He said, what did you go to jail for? Cypress just waking up and coming in here.
Yeah, I think we talked about that 3 times. Tell me to go back and watch it.
Spoke about it 3 times. And he was very transparent about it. He said, I just came in. I know. He went to jail based on a school board member going and falsifying government documents. They filed a false police report on him, basically.
I mean, that's the basis of it. If you go back and look at it, and I think Dr. Mel has that interview that I did with John Best over there at 88.5. I showed him the documentation. I showed it to him. He got quiet when I showed it to him. See, that's not integrity. You lack it. He got mad. That's the reason why we was having that meeting. He got mad because I said he lacked integrity. If you can't answer to the constituency, that's not integrity.
My God. Well, you guys, we enjoy having Damon Curry Morris on tonight. He'll be back on May the 4th. I'm sure when he comes back, Lord, it's been so rough out there. He don't have to say, oh, oh my God. He said, Big Wig got to go from the school.
Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something funny that happened at the poll, but it really wasn't funny to me, and I'm gonna really let y'all go after this. A man walked up to me because I had on my Kansas City hat. You know, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I had on my Kansas City hat out there at the poll Saturday. Man walked up to me. He said, "See, I was gonna vote for you, but he said until you wore that hat, he said, because I'm a 49ers fan." He said, "But Mr. Morris, I got to think about it." He said, "Once you get on that school board," he said, "I will pay you $1,000 to cuss Tawana Murphy out." He said she needs one of those good professor cussing outs. So I told him, I said, "No, brother, I ain't gonna do that." I said, we got to have, we can't have no mess on this school board. We can't do that. He was like, man, he's like, we got to put you up there. And just like, let me give a shout out to Tamika Gibson. She said, you the right person for the job. You're going to bring balance to that board.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Tamika Gibson. She used to be over the circuit court. Am I right?
Yes. And she was Shelby County Court Clerk.
Mm-hmm. She was a Shelby County Court Clerk for Circuit Court. Is she back working over there?
No, she works for the city of Memphis now.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to Tamika Gibson. I hate that, that had happened to her when she ran for a second term, but it's weird the way things happen sometimes. But anyway,
I want to give you your flowers, Tamara, for putting this into this, putting your time into this, and using your resources to help me get this message out, to the people, and get the truth out to the people. Whether people believe it or not, get the truth out to them.
Yeah, I
think that and my rage today, and God keep on sending stuff to me. My rage today was because people were taking lightly the mental health of my grandchild, and that's not right. I had some very high profile mayoral candidates tell me the same thing out there in Glenview on Saturday. That's not right. That's not what we do. And the candidate right now has not reached out.
Wow.
And she knows what's going on. Has not reached out.
Well, I was always told when people don't say anything, that means that they are in agreement. That's what I was told. Mm-hmm. When you don't say something, that means you are in agreement with it. Especially when you can say something. And this would be as a matter of fact, it is responsibility, since that person is working for that candidate. It is the responsibility of that candidate to step up and make that right. So I would have to believe that candidate is in agreement with that. Cypress, you was cutting up in Cypress, you cutting up in the chat.
What is he saying?
He said Damon ain't bad if he cussing Big Wig out. Y'all go vote for him ASAP.
I mean, that man came to the poll in abundant grace and asked me that. He told me, he said I will give you $1,000. I said, man, you can't be doing that out here. You're gonna get me in trouble to offer me a bribe already. I said, I ain't even on the board. I ain't gonna take no bribe.
Lord have mercy. They said, Cypress, please stop. Cypress is a clown. He's funny anyways. But anyways, you guys, we enjoyed you all. Tamika and Dr. Mel, reach out to me on my Facebook. Request my Facebook so that we can set something up. But anyways, Damon, of course, we pray that you're going to bring this thing home. You definitely will bring balance. Not only that, but other good candidates that are running for other positions. I really, as far, and I'm not being conceited or anything, as far as my district was concerned, I would have been District 1. I didn't really see, I think I was the only one that was not clicked up. Honestly, I think I was the only one that wasn't clicked up.
Right.
So I don't even really, I don't even have anybody to recommend in that race, because I think either way it goes, unfortunately, you screwed. I think I don't know what to say as it relates to that race.
I agree.
Anyways, you guys, I want you all to please like, share, and subscribe. Share this. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you are in the, and we have a lot of people up in here. Let me just say this. Did you say you said Bethel Grove, didn't you?
Right.
We have a lot of people that come in and even do replays on this video, that from the Orange Mound area, from the Bethel Grove area, and I ended up having a lot of people to subscribe to this channel from that area because of course they know I covered the Young Dolph case a whole lot. So a lot of people from Orange Mound and from Bethel Grove, they're always in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all get out and vote. Tell your families, even if you don't live in the area anymore, tell your families about Damon District 9. Tell them to get out and vote Damon Curry Morris. We need, the children are our future. When we turn on the news, okay, what we see, unfortunately, a lot of the crime that is being committed, unfortunately, you have a lot of young adults who are, some of them are still in school, right? That are getting into a lot of trouble. And I think idle time is a devil's workshop. School is the most important part of a child's life. Okay. I really believe that it is important for our communities, for the crime in our communities. It is very important. Make sure you all get out and vote. It is time to start creating generational wealth in our communities, and it starts in that school. Okay, it starts in that school. The children are our future. We need them to carry on our legacies, right? They need good educations, they need training, they need all of these, a lot of these things that has been taken away from our children as it relates to the public schools. It is time to get people in there that is going to fight to get a lot of these things back in there so that our children can get the proper training. Okay. And the way to do that is to change the face of what politics looks like in Memphis. I'm not saying that all politicians that sit use wisdom, exercise wisdom. I'm not saying that all of them. But on the school board, yes. But there are other positions where there are some good politicians that are incumbents. Okay, not on the school board though. Okay, I'm not nobody on the school board. We're changing the whole face of the school board. Okay, we're changing the whole face of the school board. Keep that in mind. So, I want you all to tell your families about Damon Curry Morris. Get out and vote for Damon. Okay, get out and vote for Damon. And when people, this is how we teach people not to play with the Black community. We make them either one term elected officials, or we tell them your time. You've been here long enough. Your time is up. You will not be reelected, and they're unable to play musical chairs. Okay, meaning they can't leave one position and go get elected anywhere else. Once we start setting the standards and letting them know, look, instead of telling us what they're going to do for us, we lay out an agenda and say, this is what we need for you to do as it relates to our community. Can you do that? If they can't do that, because politicians work for the people that vote for them. If you're unable to do that, if you're on, you get elected and you keeping up ruckus, you selling out the people, listen, you're not going back. And once people see that we're not going to be playing with them, they're going to either know not to run or they're going to get some act right. And thus far, we haven't done that because we've been so unmotivated. We don't want to get out and vote, or we constantly let people trick us into voting for friends of theirs, okay, or just name recognition. That has been the issue in our community, and it's time for a change. When we change what we've been doing as it relates to that, we'll start to see the economic basis in our communities change. You'll start to see it flourish, because it's not that the money don't come in. It's not that the money isn't there. The money is just not being distributed oftentimes where it should be distributed. And that has a lot to do with your politicians. Okay. That's why it is imperative that we get the right ones in. Damon, is there anything you want to say before you leave?
Y'all get out and vote. Y'all get out and vote. Because y'all got to make a change this election, or our children are doomed. And I love y'all with the love of God.
Trying to shadow ban. They've been trying to they've been hitting at this video all day. But guess what? In the beginning, I almost got discouraged. I said, dog, they hitting at this video, they're messing my video up, but guess what? I can still edit it because I'm a good editor before I put it on TV. And God allowed us to go almost 3 hours. They really don't want no messages out over here.
That's right.
But anyways, you guys, thank you for coming up, Damon. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I love you all. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Tune in to Real Talk with Tamara every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. I love you all. You all have a good night.
All right. See you later, Tamara.
All right. Bye-bye.